this isn't something I usually talk about, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out there somewhere. This is less of a review, more of just my random, uncollected thoughts, so bear that in mind. So today I decided to read A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is a book series that I have had little interest in ever reading, actually. It's a favorite series of my niece and my sister. They're obsessed with the series. And after just like months, if not years, of just poking fun at them for their obsession for it, I made a bet that I could read book one in a day before my niece could finish book two. And for some reason, they thought I couldn't finish it in a day, which didn't make any sense because the book is like 400 pages. But nevertheless, I did. It took me like 8 hours, and apparently that shocked them. They're slow readers, I guess. But I read it, and I think about like 50 pages in, I recall thinking to myself, okay, this isn't half bad. I thought this was going to be a dreadful read. I was like, this is going to be hours and hours of me hating every literal page that I'm on. But no, it actually turned out to be pretty interesting. And especially as I kind of like realized the parallels between this and Beauty and the Beast, a human and a quote unquote beast like character, and there's a curse on the court, and there's like a evil woman responsible for it or whatever. I mean, spoilers for the book, by the way, if that spoiled anything for you. So yeah, spoiler alert past this one, I guess. But yeah, I got to the end, and while I did like the book, I didn't have any burning desire to keep going, right? Like, sort of like how Avengers Infinity War was like a decent jumping off point for a lot of people in terms of the MCU. I felt like the book ended in such a way that I didn't feel the need to read book two and onwards. I was like, okay, they won, they beat it. Yeah, they're still like the evil fairy king on that other continent or whatever, but like it ended in such a way where I'm like, I have no burning desire to keep going. So apparently, my sister heard that and was like, okay, well, if you're not going to read any further, I've got some spoilers for you, because I had said like, I'm so glad there wasn't a love triangle on this, because when Reese was introduced, I was scared it was going in that direction. And she told me like, oh, she, the main love interest, Feyre, or however you pronounce that, she ends up with Reese, right? Like they mate or whatever, and let's call him Hamlin. I think his name is Tamlin, the love interest in book one. Apparently he becomes like an abusive douchebag and sides with the evil king. And I think I won't be able to like convey this in this little video, but you have no idea how much that pissed me off. For someone who didn't really have any immediate plans to read more of the series, it oddly ticked me off when I heard that, and just made me regret even reading book one. Right? Like, if I hadn't read book one, I'd never have picked up that, piece of tidbit from my sister. And I don't know. I just had to take a pause there because I have no idea how to convey what I'm feeling. I read book one. I liked it. Didn't have really any immediate plans to keep going. My sister told me that, and then it upset me. It actually ruined my day a bit. I was planning to do some writing, some light work or whatever, and I can't feel up to it because that information pissed me off. And I looked online, and no, that's true. Tamlin, the Sarah J. Maas takes him on a wild ride after book one. Apparently, trauma from under the mountain broke him, or whatever, and he becomes an abusive dick, and that pushes the girl away, and she ends up with someone else. And I'm sitting here like, what do you mean? Because I like to me, as someone who's only read book one, it just makes all of book one completely pointless. Imagine writing a book where these two characters fight for their love, and then you tell me that's the continuation of the book series. That's what goes on after this. That's fucking bullshit. And I know a lot of people who are fans of these books will say, oh, well, you can't judge it. You got to read the second book. Oh, you got to get into the third book or whatever. And it's like, no, I'm not going to read anymore, because that kind of stuff pisses me off enough where I don't want to read a book that has that. Like, I won't step near a book series that has even a hint of a love triangle. That shit ain't for me. Right? So I'm absolutely not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm on board with having this character assassination. I love it. And I've seen some people be like, well, there were signs in book 1, which I just wrote off as like the usual shit you see in these like female written dark romanticides. You have like a really hot but kind of sexy, violent, passionate male love interest and a woman who's just completely into it, right? Loving the type of guy who, if he wanted to, could choke you and kill you, but doesn't. Right? Like it's like he edges close, but never goes past that. Like that danger. Which is not a direct quote, but like I'm paraphrasing what I've heard from other like female fans of these types of books. Is like that's the reason they like it so much. It's not necessarily like they want an abusive partner in real life, but like that act of danger and shit like that. That's what I just assumed it was. I was like, all right, this is like Twilight type shit or whatever. I had no idea. They're like, oh no. He becomes an abusive dick in book 2 or 3 or whatever like that. I think it's book 2. Right? Like, that would be if, like, in book 1, Edward and Bella became a thing, and then in book 2, they ran with, like, him being, like, really abusive, and then she ends up with, like, the wolf or whatever, and that whole thing happened instead. Like, it just surprised me. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. I thought he would just be the love interest. And then, like, I fell down the rabbit hole of, like, Reddit threads where people were like, yeah, Tamlin's a piece of shit. And there were some people being like, well, yeah, he's a piece of shit, but why aren't you condemning these other characters who have done equally bad or even worse things? And then those people still defended those worse things to shit on Tamlin, and the writer has even shit on Tamlin. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever hated any of my characters so much. What's funny is, and this is, I guess, a side tangent to my whole point in this video, which, if there is a point, I don't know, is that somebody pointed out how, like, I guess Rhys, his description kind of matches the author's husband. So some people have assumed that perhaps Tamlin is based on an ex, right? Like an abusive ex she had, and that's kind of why she bears some kind of animosity to Tamlin. I'm like, hey, if that's true, then like understandable, but like at the same time, I don't think I could ever like be like write a character so detestable that I'm like, yeah, I hate my own character. Like, no, I pretty much love all my characters. But, yeah, I don't know. Reading book 1, I had fun, right? Strained my eyes a bit, sitting there for 8 hours reading the book from start to finish, but I had fun. But learning that this is where the series goes after this ruined that for me. And now, like the title probably says, I regret reading this book. Because if I hadn't read the book, I'd never have learned that thing, and it never would have ruined the experience for me. So, like, cool, Sarah J. Maas. I will probably never read the rest of this series, and apparently she has a pattern with her books or whatever. They all follow, like, a pattern of sorts or whatever, so I'll probably just never read any of her books. Which is a shame, because, again, I liked book 1. And I know people are going to sit here, if they even watch this, and they're going to comment below, and they're like, no, you should give it a chance. You should give it a chance. No. I've got lines. I don't like crossing with fiction. Like, this is actually why I don't read these types of books. For a long time, I read horror novels, which might seem contradictory to what I just said, but I read horror novels, specifically zombie apocalypse. But life, recently, got very stressful for me mentally and physically, and it kind of like got to a certain boiling point where I couldn't even really deal with stressful events in fiction, like really stressful drama field, angst field fiction. I couldn't handle it. I needed to move to a different type of fiction, and I started reading cozy mystery novels, cozy fantasy, cozy romance, right? Things like The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie, whose author escapes me at this moment, Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I loved that book. And then I read Twice Shy by Sarah Hogel, I think, and that was a sort of a cozy romance too, with a grumpy sunshine dynamic. And while there was a little tiny bit of maybe some drama and stress in there, it wasn't on the level of A Court of Thorns and Roses, which had me stressed at various points, or what apparently is going to be happening later in the series, right? Like, I might have continued reading the books at another point after I'd maybe gotten done with my own novel that I'm writing and some other responsibilities or whatever. Maybe eventually I would have came back and finished it, right? Because I did like the first book. It just left off at such a perfect jumping off point that the really, like, it didn't end in a way where I'm like, oh shit, what happens next? I've got to read the second book to find out. Like, no, like, it just, it ended in a way that I thought was a nice little happy bow to the end of things. It didn't feel like I had to rush to read the next book, right? And now, because of what I've learned, I absolutely have no plans. And I know people be like, oh, well, if you hadn't learned it, then you would have maybe read it. Yeah, and as soon as I found out what was happening and pieced together what direction the characters were going in, I would have stopped reading regardless. So, like, it's not as if this one thing has kept me from reading it. It's the fact that she wrote it at all that would have kept me from reading it. So, I don't know. This is just a lesson like, oh, wow. So I shouldn't have read this in the first place because it's gone off into like a really shit direction. Like, I don't need to read it. I don't need to judge it for myself. Just that plot device or that plot point, that whole arc sits terribly in my stomach and I want nothing to do with it. So, like, if you're a fan of the series, more power to you. I don't know how you get through stuff like this. I would be stressed the hell out, right? Like, seriously, imagine you read a book, love interest, you're like, okay, cool. Seems like a fine guy. Some edges, rough edges, some stuff I don't really agree with what they did, blah, blah, blah. This is a little bit weird, but like it ends nicely. So, maybe there's like room for growth or whatever. And then you get told, oh no, he gets far worse in book 2 and beyond. No redemption arc. She ends up with a different guy. I'd be like, no fucking thank you. I don't want to read that. I'm going to go back to my cozy romance novels with cutesy, wholesome vibes, my cozy mystery novels with like no super violent deaths or anything. I'm just going to stick to that. I don't need this stress in my life. But yeah, if you enjoy it, more power to you. I couldn't imagine reading these. I would be too fucking stressed. Like, I don't need that. So yeah, Court of Thorns and Roses, book 1, pretty nice. Don't want to read any of it after learning what happens. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I've read some spoilers of like what's going on with her character and what happens in the later books. Doesn't sound interesting. I don't want any part of it. This is just a 15-minute video of me ranting because I was just so pissed off and I had nowhere else to upload this. Nowhere else to talk to because no one. I don't know. Oh, also because I tried to post a thread about it on like Reddit and they wanted me to have like farm karma points to even post. So like, I'm not fucking doing that. Like, I don't even want to read the rest of the book series. You want me to like stay in this fucking forum for like weeks waiting for someone to upvote one of my comments so that I can have enough karma points to post? No, fuck you and your book series. I ain't sticking around. God fucking damn it. She should have just ended with the first book. Remove all mentions of the evil fairy king and just had it been one book. Perfect ending. In fact, I will try to erase what I know from my mind and just pretend that this is the canon ending and nothing happens afterwards. That could be fanfic I could write. Court of Thorns and Roses. That's the real ending. She doesn't assassinate his character because she had a shit ex or something. I don't know. I'm not reading any more books, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But if you guys want good books to read, ones that don't go off and like, no, I'm not going to get off on another tangent. If you want some really fun books to read, I mentioned some in this video. Legends and Lattes, fantastic. Twice Shy by Sarah Hogel, amazing, cute, a little bit of spice at the end. Maybe not as much spice as you people who read A Court of Thorns and Rose are used to, right? But like, it has a little bit of spice at the end, so I would definitely recommend it. Anyways, I don't know how to end this video. I'm always bad at ending these types of videos, so bye.